we did was we took away all the dead areas of shell, and we've keyed up the edge of the shell so it can take the acrylic that's going on there. Largely that looks okay, so it looks, what we're looking for is sort of much darker or sort of dying bits here. This bit hasn't been quite covered by the Granuflex quite so well, so that's why it's a little bit darker.
This part looks dreadful.
Yeah, so again it will be, obviously this is the deeper, this is going through into bone, and that's the
main wound.
Yeah, so and that's the cavity, that's the lining of the body cavity that's in there that you can see that's gone all the way through the shell. For that,
into his body then.
So yes, that's the lining of the hasn't gone all the way through into the cavity. That's still the sort of thick membrane that's there, but it has gone all the way through the shell. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, that looks largely as I'd expect it to, really, for the for where we are at the moment. So I think the balance really is that we've had a good time really on the antibiotics. You know, with the debriding and the dressings and so on, so I think we should be fine to put the covering on. It's probably also going to make it more comfortable for him as well, as it will actually seal it. A bit like
will it heal well underneath the acrylic? So
yes, so the idea is to cover it. We don't put the acrylic on straight away because it's like having an infected wound, so we treat it as a contaminated wound, so we just check to make sure there's nothing else coming from it and it's looking all healthy. There's no particular smell, which is good from it, and that all looks okay. It probably will be more comfortable for him once the covering's on it, if you like. You can imagine if you've got a sort of open wound that's there all the time, it is uncomfortable, so if we can cover it, then that gives it the chance. And the idea is that we're afraid we won't get back to this nice patterned keratin cover on the top of it, but it will fill in with new bone. So the covering acts like a bridge over the top of it, and what will happen is that the bone will grow from either side underneath it and fill in what's going on underneath there.
Right, okay. So I'm leaving him with you, am I?
Yeah, so I need to do that. I'll probably need a couple of coats really just to cover up this this bit. It's mainly a little bit of mesh just over the top of it as well, just to cover it. What we'll do is we'll give it a thorough clean as well today, and give it a good irrigation with some saline as well. And then what we'll do is we'll pop like acrylic resin over the top and smooth it around the edges.
Do you put him to sleep for this?
So it's just going to irrigating the wound, so it's there, because he's had it all debrided before and this largely looks okay tissue-wise, then it's a case of, we should be fine just to put that on without another anaesthetic. Obviously if we had to remove further bits of bone or anything, then he would need to sleep again if we're actually going to do anything painful, but just to put a cover on, then that should be okay.
Okay. Now the tube, so basically when he starts eating, because today we've got to do the 3 medicines today. How long will I be doing the medicines for? So
it is a case of we still need to treat it as though it is a contaminated wound that's there, so we'll need to carry on with some medications. It probably will be at least in a couple of weeks really on the treatments. This tube is not that big, they will eat past it, so the best scenario would be is that obviously we can use the tube for the medications. Once the covering's on, then he can go about his sort of business a bit better without the bandage hindrance that's there.
Okay, so would he be able to go back in the garden? It's lovely weather, you know.
The only risk is that that tube looks very good actually, so it's not no particular problems with that, but because it's a wound on the side of the neck, you just have to be very careful that there's no flies or anything, so you don't want flies laying eggs around the ooze of the tube that's there. So if he's sort of directly supervised, once he's got the covering on, then yes, he could be outside,
but that's fine.
But he would need to be under continuous direct supervision really.
Okay, so I'll just be there with him with a little...
The advantage of also putting a covering on is that they are happier, often with a bit of sun on their back out outside again. So even just a sort of half an hour, with him, just to see if he will eat on his own, he's more likely to do that in the garden than he is perhaps inside. So, but we need to keep him nice and warm as well. So it's not a case of leaving him outside.
No, I wouldn't leave him outside. The outside enclosure's got a thing they go into which is heated. So I have the heating on inside if they want.
If they want to, there.
Can't rely on this English weather.
No, so leopard horses they do tolerate some time in the garden, but they need.
No, they've got. That's what I'm saying. They're completely spoiled. They've got it all set up properly, and this is what's so awful.
Yeah.
Awful. So now, the feed. So we got to just get him eating really on his own, and when the meds finish, if he's eating, hopefully. I mean, when do you think he might start eating?
So it is difficult to predict. I mean, it's not unusual for several weeks after trauma like this for them not to eat there.
Really?
So again, the advantage of putting a covering on is that he can, as I said, he's largely unencumbered by it really, so he can go about his business a bit better.
And he'll be in less pain then, presumably.
Yeah, I would hope so as well. That should be much more comfortable for him.
And then, so the acrylic that stays on forever.
So yeah, normally it falls off on its own, so the shell is continuously renewing itself, if you like, so it usually lifts off after about a year or so, at which point it should be filled in if need be, or it falls off sooner, then obviously we can sort of patch it and put another bit on.
Okay.
But the idea is you normally leave it on, there's no advantage particularly in removing it.
What about bathing and all of that?
That should be fine, yeah.
A water bowl, he can walk through that?
That's fine, so yeah, once we've got a coating on there, as long as we're happy that the seal's all okay with it, then yeah, you can go back to doing everything else.
Right, and where do you put it? Is it just in this pot? Where are you putting the acrylic? Just here?
So everywhere there's a damaged part, so wherever the shell's broken, it needs to be covered up.
Underneath,
so,
there was a bit,
yeah, and a patch underneath, so all these sections, there's many little sort of metal mesh bridge to cover that, but the rest will just have a acrylic coating.
That's very deep, isn't it? Look.
Yeah, it is all the way through the shell, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
It's very true. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he's been relatively fortuitous about it. I know obviously it looks dramatic, but you know, you do see the advantage of being a leopard tortoise is the shell is pretty robust. So
I mean, I'm
even the size of dog that you've described,
it's a big dog.
Yeah, big dog.
But I don't know how long, because I was there. It was not like I wasn't, a few feet away. And I don't know how long he had him. I don't think he had him for very long.